All right, everybody, now we're gonna move into our speed and dynamic warm-up focus of the workout. We're gonna start with marching, and then we're gonna get into some skipping patterns. So we're gonna start with a high march, trying to get those knees as high as they'll go, and you can keep the toes pointed up and try to move the opposite arm and have fists like you're holding on to a chip. Not so much that you would break the chip, and not so much that's gonna fall out of your hand, okay? So you're holding on to something light, and you're trying to get your arms moving contralaterally to your legs here, okay? So that's the march. When we get into the march next, we're gonna go as fast and as hard as we can for only 5 seconds. So we're gonna rest for about a little bit longer, and then we're gonna start our march, and then we're gonna perform 5-second bursts of energy. So we're gonna do a marching pattern, a skipping pattern, we're gonna do a side skip, we're going to do some hopping and some jumping and some other dynamic plyometric drills. So let's go ahead, we're gonna start with marching. So start with a slow pace, and then slowly work into a fast stationary pace. Okay, only for about 5 seconds because we're trying to work a certain energy system, and you have to take about 5 to 10 times of rest of how long you actually performed when performing these correctly. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to go over them with minimal break. Not that you can't do that with your athletes or your participants, but just know that if you're trying to train true speed or power, you're generally going to wait 50 seconds at least if you're doing something 5 to 10 seconds long, okay? So I am gonna go through them a little bit quicker than I typically would coach them, but if you wanted to challenge yourself or your athletes, this is how you do it. All right, so we're gonna start with marching. And we're gonna move forward as we march for those 5 seconds. Here we go. Okay. So using as much power, explosive force as you can for that small period of time, and you're not wasting reps after those 5 seconds. You're doing it within that 5 seconds as hard as you can. Now we're gonna move from marching to skipping. We're gonna move forward as we skip. First start with your march, and then skip. Okay, so you should hear that impact of the ground and that force connection from the foot all the way up the chain. Next, we're gonna go into side skipping. So we're gonna turn sideways. I'll start with my march, turn it into my skip, and then if I'm moving left, I'm gonna push off my right foot after I hop. So it's gonna look like this. And then I'm gonna move to my right by pushing off my left. Keeping my hands contralateral of the knees. And then trying to stay, if you can, on a line if you wanna challenge yourself. So that's the side skip, or the side skip. Now, I am gonna rest a little bit because I am starting to feel it, and you can't really produce a lot of energy or speed if you're fatigued. And power and speed shouldn't really cause a lot of fatigue in your workouts. Keep that in mind if you are trying to rest longer durations, as you should in between these exercises. So I am going through them a little quick, like I said, but with purpose and for demonstration's sake. All right, so now we're gonna do explosive lateral shuffle. So within the distance you have available, you can go side to side multiple times, or just side all the way down, side all the way back, depending on how long of an area you have. Feet are forward, pushing off the outside leg. If I'm moving to the left, I'm pushing off my right leg. If I'm moving to my right, I'm pushing off my left leg. Okay, shifting from the linear plane to the frontal plane in our warm-ups. So Now we're gonna go into our karaoke. So it's cross behind and a cross in front. But if you don't have a lot of room like I have here, we're just gonna do a crossover shuffle. So I'm gonna cross over and then shuffle. Okay, so it's gonna be crossover, shuffle, just like that. All right, so now that I've used most of my phosphagen or power sources of energy, I'm gonna rest a little bit, let that creatine phosphate and ATP replenish, get some water, and then go into some light implement power training.